Welcome to the Jahia DX Server Administration. In this tutorial, you will learn about managing roles and permissions in DX. First, you'll understand the terminology, the types of roles, and how roles are assigned. Then, you'll learn about server and site administrators. Finally, you'll see how to set up a new user and a new role, and then assign the role. Roles can be a little complicated, but they are a powerful way to manage how people use DX depending on exactly what they need to accomplish. Let's start with the terminology. Permissions define how people interact with resources in DX. Roles are collections of permissions that allow access to settings or content. Users are individuals with various needs to access and interact with the server and the sites within it. Groups are lists of users. There are different types of roles. Server roles manage settings, users, groups, and roles for the entire server. Site roles manage site users, groups, roles, and site layout and content. Edit roles create and manage content. Some roles may also assign permissions on specific content. Live roles can interact with the live site to add content such as forums, wikis, and blog posts. It's important to remember that roles are associated with content. Here is how it works. You have a user or group, and you have a role. A user or group is assigned a role to access content in the area that the role is active. In other words, a live or edit role must be assigned in edit mode, a site role in site settings, and a server role in server administration. This will become clear as we go through the process later in the tutorial. You can follow along with this tutorial in DX using the digital demonstration site. I will be showing the different roles with various users that are provided in the demo. They all use password in lowercase as the login password. Login as root for an overview of the permissions for administrators. Navigate to administration mode. Server administrators can create and manage all users and roles in administration mode. Changes made here in server administration affect the entire platform or server. Expand users and roles and click on roles and permissions. Scroll down to server roles and click on server administrator. You can see here that the server administrator has all the permissions to manage the functions that affect the whole server. This role can administer users, groups, and roles. But the server administrator has no permissions to administer sites or to change content. Sites are managed by site administrators. To see their permissions, scroll up and click on Back to Roles list and find the Site Administrator role. This role can administer site settings as well as site roles, users, and groups. Site administrators also have permissions to change content. Some roles that are not administrators can also assign edit and live mode roles. For example, Editor-in-Chief can assign permissions to users on specific pages or components. Edit mode roles can also manage content. Live roles have permissions to change content only on the live site. Now, let's learn how to add a user to a server role. To add a member to the server administrator or web designer role, click Server Roles. Adding groups is similar to adding a user, so for this demonstration, we will add just a single user. Click the Members button next to the appropriate role. Click the appropriate user checkbox, then click Save. Server administrators can also add new users to the system, which we'll learn about next. We will add a new user and a new role, and then add the user to that role. Click on Users. Click Create New User. You can use the same user information here or create your own fictitious user. To keep things simple, I recommend you use the word password as the password so it's the same as the example users in the demonstration sites. Of course, we do not recommend doing this for your real-life users. When you're finished, click Add. Now, let's add a new role that has unique permissions for our new user. The journalist's role is another type of content contributor. Click on Roles and Permissions. Choose Edit Role at the top. Type Journalist as the role name and click Add Role. Use labels to define a name and a description for each available language. All permissions in the sections can be granted at once, or they can be selected one by one. Under the Basic Permissions tab, click the Basic Permissions box, and it selects all the boxes below it, which allows this role to add and edit content. But the journalist role does not need to grant access to other users, so uncheck the Manage ACL box. Under the Workflow tab, select Publication Start and Publication Finish Correction boxes. These allow the role to begin the publication process and later to make revisions. Scroll back to the top of the page and click Save. The next step is to add the new user to the new role. The new role is an edit role, but server administrators do not have access to edit mode. So we will add the user through the Site Manager, which gives the Site Administrator role the ability to add edit roles. Use the DX menu to navigate to Site Manager. You can add groups of users or individuals to enroll on any part of the page tree, or to the top node of the tree, which includes all the children. In other words, assigning users to roles for the whole tree grants the role for the entire site. Since we want the journalist role to have access to the whole site, we'll start at the top node of the page tree. Right-click on the site entry at the top of the tree. Select Edit. In the Edit engine, select the Edit Roles tab. Scroll until you see the new journalist role and click Add New Users. In the list of users, select the user Chandra and Add, and then click Save. Now we can limit the role's access to editing a certain part of the page tree. Say, for instance, that we do not want the journalist to change the Company section. Select that page and then click the Break All Inheritance button in the Edit Roles tab. You can restore the role's inheritance later. Next, I'll show you what Chandra can see in Edit mode. Chandra can edit or add content components on any part of the site except for the Company section. The process is similar for adding users to Live mode, where users with the proper role can add comments and contribute to blogs, forums and wikis. Any additions that you make to the Live mode roles take effect only when those pages are published. Congratulations! Now you know the basics of administering roles and permissions in DX. Thank you for watching. Please also see our other DX tutorials and documentation, and visit us for support and information at jahia.com.